Many people are afraid of watercolor because it's unpredictable, but today I will show you how to turn that chaos into a realistic portrait. And I will share the exact steps I use to paint with it. This sketch coming from my previous video. If you haven't seen it, I will leave the link here and you can follow along and paint with me. I've divided this tutorial into several stages to make it easier for you. The first stage is always the background. I like to start with it now because it's much easier to paint at this stage than to leave it to the end. Usually it depends on the background itself. If it's lighter than the portrait, you can add it later. But if it is darker, it's better to begin with it. Also, remember to change your water often so it doesn't muddy your colors. For the background, I mix pink with orange to get a soft peach tone. Thin it down with plenty of water and wash it across the whole area. If it looks too pale, you can always add another layer with less water to make it brighter. Next, we move on to the face. I start with a light skin tone, a mix of red, orange and a touch of brown, well diluted with water. I cover most of the face. But leave some highlights white, as you can see here. Those untouched areas will help the face look more realistic. The neck is usually a bit darker than the face, so I paint it without highlighting too much. Then I mix in more orange and brown to create a slightly darker shade. And add it to the shadow areas of the face. Don't worry if it looks too dark. Remember, watercolor can always be softened with water. Since the face has volume, you will notice that the little parts on the sides often look lighter under good light. Don't cover those areas with dark washes. Keeping them light adds depth and realism. On the cheeks and above the eyes, I add a very light wash of red, almost like blush or a hint of makeup, to give the skin a sun-kissed look. Moving to the third layer, I deepen the shadows with more brown. Keep checking your reference, and if it is hard to see the shadows, squint your eyes, that makes them stand out more clearly. I add more red to the cheeks and nose to match the reference. With a darker brown, I build up shadows where they need more depth. For the lips, I start with a light pink mixed with red, leaving some areas untouched for highlights. Then I add a bit of brown for volume. After that, I refine details like the nose and eyebrows. Try not to use pure black, it doesn't usually exist in nature. Instead, I prefer a dark brown, sometimes mixed with blue, for a richer shadow. If you are a beginner, use a thinner brush for these details, it helps avoid mistakes. The face doesn't only have warm tones, but also cool ones. That's why I add a very diluted blue wash to the eyes, under the eyes, and in areas where you can see cooler undertones in the skin. Looking at the reference, you will notice the right side of the face is much darker. This gives the portrait a bit more volume. I add deeper tones there, layer by layer, instead of going too dark too quickly. Even professionals make mistakes, so layering gradually is always safer. For the neck, I use more orange on the left side and deeper brown on the right for shadows. With each layer, I add darker browns and hints of blue to bring more depth. Once the face has dried, we can move to the eyes. I first paint the pupils light green, then add darker green for shadows. I also use diluted blue for the whites of the eyes, because eyes are never pure white, they also have depth. With a thin brush and dark brown, I paint the eyelashes in light, gentle strokes, both upper and lower. I love painting little details like golden earrings. They have so much contrast and reflection. First, I cover them with yellow, then add darker brown for shadows. And a touch of orange or red for the warm reflections from the skin and clothes. For the hair, since it's light, I start with a diluted blue wash across all of it. Then I layer beige tones for strands. Hair doesn't need to be perfect, this is a place to stay creative. In the reference, I can see shades of blue, purple, pink, beige, gray, and brown, all very soft and diluted. For the short, I lay down a diluted pink wash, then add deeper shades and shadows for folds. At the end, I make any adjustments I feel I needed, darkening some areas, fixing shadows near the neck or short, and so on. And finally, my favorite part, highlights. I add them to the brightest spots to bring more life to the portrait. I like to use white gouache, but if you don't have it, you can use a white gel pen, pencil, or even acrylic paint. And that's it. I hope you found this video helpful. Remember, the most important thing is practice. Painting is a kind of meditation for me. Once I dive into it, it brings me so much joy. And I hope it does the same for you. See you in the next video.